So this is the remaining part of one act play written by August Strindberg, that is the stronger. We have started reading that. And that now onwards we'll find that Mrs. X is directly attacking Miss Y, as she is the woman who has cheated her, though she is friend. So many times Mrs. X called Miss Y to visit her at her home. And here in this paragraph, we can see that so many evidences, examples are given by Mrs. X of that Mrs. Y's behavior, which is objectionable, and wherefrom Mrs. X concluded that she is having an affair with her husband. The first experience is of that when Miss Y came to Mrs. X's house, and at that time Bob was not comfortable with her arrival. And easily Mrs. X can identify that these two are engaged or having an affair. So, that second incident is of christening ceremony, and at that time, this Miss Y was godmother, and this Mrs. X asked that Bob to kiss her, but it was very embarrassing scene for this Miss Y, being a godmother, and that godparent of the child, and that child was not of her, and she was having an affair with Mr. Bob. So this is how that second incident, that is here given by Mrs. X, and with that also she could identify that these two are having some other relationship. So, so many times she noticed that these two are in love with each other, but she here says that she doesn't have any type of hatred or jealousy. But actually, is it possible that such thing will be there when that woman can identify easily that her husband is having love affair, and she doesn't have that emotion of jealousy, so it is unnatural in some way. And we can say that here Mrs. X is lying. So in this way, in this particular dialogue, we can see that Mrs. X is showing her anger or rage, and she gives so many examples how she is right, that blaming this Miss Y being cheated, and definitely she says that you do have affair with my husband. So, but everything went wrong when you came to our house, because I saw that my husband couldn't stand you, means face you, and I felt, husband means here Bob, and I felt quite uncomfortable, as though there was a hitch somewhere, means some interrelation was there between you and my husband, and I did all I could to make him show himself friendly toward you, but without success. So he was angry on you because you were going to marry somebody, and until you went and got engaged, and then a keen friendship sprang up, so that it seemed for a moment as though you had only first dared to show your true feelings when you were in safety. So here, this Mrs. X easily could identify that Bob was not ready for that Miss Y's that marriage, and after that means Miss Y mm, that anyhow could not marry. So at that time, this Bob was again having some friendship with you, with her. So in this way, this relationship developed, but Mrs. Yes was saying that here she doesn't have any type of jealousy against Miss Y. So one more that example is given, that is of christening. Christening, when you stood grandmother and I made him kiss you. Yes, I did that, and you got so embarrassed. I mean, I didn't notice it at the time. I haven't thought of it since then either. I haven't thought of it from then till now. So gets up sharply. And why don't you say something? You haven't said a word the whole time, but you have just let me sit and talk. You have sat there with those eyes of yours and picked up all my thoughts. Thoughts, hallucinations, perhaps, hallucination perhaps, and worked them into your chain link by link. Oh, let me see. Why did you break off your engagement? So this is how that very important line. Why did you break off your engagement and why? From that day to this, have you never come anymore to our house? Why won't you come in the evening? So this is how here easily this Mrs. Yox blames this Miss Y that you are in love with my husband and having an affair. So you are behaving like this. So this is how you can see the explanation and some events which are told by Mrs. X. See what is the reaction of this Miss Y to this that complaint or this attack by Mrs. X. So you can see that here she seems as though she were about to speak. So Miss Y here seems to express herself, but it does not happen anyway because Mrs. X is herself very attacking in this mood. Stop, you need not say it. I quite understand now. It was because and because and because. Yes, it all fits in. That is what it is. Oh, I won't set it the same table with you. Moves her things to another table. That was why I had to embroider tulips on his slippers, though I couldn't stand them. That was why he throws the slipper on the floor. That was why I had to spend the summer like Merlan because you couldn't stand sea air. That was why my boy had to call Eskil because that was your father's name. That was why I had to wear your colors, read your authors, eat your favorite dishes, drink your drinks, chocolate for instance. That was why. Oh my God, it is ghastly to think of. Ghastly to think of. Everything I got came from you to me. Even your passions, your soul crept into mine like a worm into apple. So see, here Mrs. X says that after that affair began between these two, Mr. Bob and Miss Y, Mr. Bob has that very impression or influence of Miss Y on his behavior, and automatically he likes all those things which are liked by this Miss Y. And due to that, he also prefers to have same thing at home or when they go somewhere like the tulip flowers which are liked by Miss Y are also liked by this Mr. Bob, and even the place Lake Malon, which is the favorite, which is not that his favorite place of this that woman Miss Y. Even Lake Malon because you couldn't stand CA. That was why my boy had so that she was not actually enjoying her life. Mrs. X was not enjoying her life, but that is the life of Miss Y actually, that ruling, dominant, that character of this Miss Y was there ruling the life of Mr. Bob and Mrs. X because all these decisions are taken by Miss Y somehow, and even the name of that son of Mr. Bob and Mrs. X is Eskil because that is the name of this Miss Y's father. So, because that was your father's name, That was why I had to wear your collars. Even this Bob preferred to drink all those colors which were actually that favorite of Miss Y, and all those authors, that means books she carried were of her favorite, or all those dishes she drinks even. All these are actually the favorite of Miss Y, and this Bob was making choice of the same when he is in the company of Mrs. X. Due to that only, this Mrs. X has to adopt all those things which were liked by Miss Y. So indirectly, this Miss Y haunted the life of these two, and we can say that this is how that this is the emotional harassment of um, Mrs. X that it goes on. So she says that your soul crept into mine like a worm into an apple, ate and ate, burrowed and burrowed, till was nothing left but the rotten core. Means you are the worm, I am the apple. You came in my life, crept in my life like that worm inside the apple. You ate everything that is good, that was good in my life, and now I am just that rotten core. Means nothing is there inside me. I wanted to avoid you, but I could not. You lay there like a serpent with your black eyes of fascination. So many images are there, or metaphors are there used and compared with this Miss Y. She says you are worm, you are snake, you have that capacity to fascinate, attract others. So you attracted my husband in that way. I knew that you would succeed at last in dragging me down. So you literally made me down, and in that way, I am now that person nowhere. I was lying in a swamp with my feet tied, and the more violently I struggled with my hands, the deeper did I work down to the bottom, while you lay there like a giant crab. Third, that imagery she used to compare her with giant crab. So, and gripped me in your close hand. So you captured me, and in that way I am now the slave of yours, and whatever you want to do with my life you are doing. And now here I am the bottom. So you dragged me down in the that deep valley or somewhere in depth, and that's why I am here dooming or going downwards. She says, oh, how I hate you. Okay, but you just sit there and say nothing, quite indifferent. So though you have turned my life upside down, you are here saying nothing, says Mrs. X. It is all the same to you if it is the beginning or the end of the month, Christmas or New Year. If the rest of the world is happy or unhappy, you can neither hate nor love. You sit as that stolidly as a stork or a rat trap. But you couldn't capture your prey, mind you. You couldn't pursue it. You could only wait for it. So here you sit in your lair, this nook. You know has been called the rat trap, and you read your papers to see if somebody is having a bad time of it, if somebody has had a misfortune, if somebody has been that sacked from the theater. Here you sit and survey your victims, reckon out your chances like a pilot. His shipwrecks take your toll. So now she directly blames her that you are the woman who always try to find out the victims, and you sit here in such places to just capture the victims, and you are the woman who is coquette in nature, who plays with men. And in that way she blames and attacks very harshly, criticizes her, and she says that you are not a good woman anyway, you did wrong with me, you did that dominate my life, and all my life is now that very living I'm living that life under your impression only. So everything that is there in my life is due to you, and my husband is totally under your impression. So let's stop here in the next part. we will be continuing with the same.